Last year when I came to this show, I couldn't help but imagine myself up here tonight. But after a lifetime of having a mother and a decade of being a mother, there were too many stories to choose from. Since then, a lot has changed. In early November, I prepared to fly across the country to be with my mom as she died. My dad told me and my sister that she was at the end of the road, but what that really meant was anyone's guess. Over our 8-year journey with early onset Alzheimer's, we had come to expect the unexpected. My sister arrived at my house the day before I did. When I called to check in, she sounded peaceful and happy and not at all freaked out. Before we hung up, she said, "I'm so glad you're coming. I think Mom's waiting for you." I hung up the phone and tried to let that sink in. Since my mom's diagnosis, we'd had our share of intense moments. Some were funny, like the time my mom put blue nail polish on her lips at Walgreens. Some were sad, like when I called to tell my parents my son had been born and my mom didn't know what I was talking about. But nothing had ever felt quite like this. If my mom was waiting to die, did that mean she knew she was dying? I always thought that the silver lining of this awful disease was the comfort of not knowing, of being blissfully unaware of the things that were happening around you day to day. If she knows now, does that mean she's known all along? And if she was waiting for me, she didn't even know me. Mother-daughter relationships are famously complex, and ours was no exception. There were long stretches of time when, for no real reason, I wished my mom was someone else. I wanted her to be the PTA mom, or the young best friend mom, or the crafty homemaker mom. Like if Barbie made a mom, that's who I wanted. A cookie-cutter image of perfection. Instead, she was human, complex and imperfect, and not at all what I would have ordered. As I got older, and especially after I became a very human mother myself, I stopped wanting her to be perfect. All I really wanted was to know her, and for her to know me. Instead, she got Alzheimer's. At first, this really pissed me off. How would we ever find our groove if she couldn't follow a conversation or tell me about her day? But over the years, I chose to see it in a very different light. While it's true that Alzheimer's sucks the big one, it also has a way of distilling things down to their purest form. This was definitely true of our relationship. The less my mom knew, the more we could just be. At first, it was really awkward. Sitting with someone not doing anything is so weird. But then it hit me. You know when you have a brand new baby and he's nothing but a sack of meat with no real redeeming qualities whatsoever? It was like that, which sounds awful, but isn't that the most precious time? You just stare into each other's eyes all day and all night, knowing everything you need to know, and falling deeply in love, soul to soul, meat sack to meat sack. By the end of my mom's life, that's kind of how it was. Don't get me wrong, there were some really hard years. Alzheimer's is a gradual undoing of the person you know, or the person you think you know. By the end, she was the person I used to know, when I was her little meat sack, and she was my everything. What was left at the end was nothing but love. Without the past 8 years, how would I ever know that I had the perfect mom all along? My mom. She was perfectly imperfect and infuriating and complicated and kind and funny and everything I needed in order to become who I was meant to be. When I got to my parents' house, I was nervous but at peace, sad but relieved, uncomfortable yet home. I walked down the hall to my parents' room where my mom was lying in bed. She was so small and gray and still, but she was there, really there. Her beautiful blue eyes lit up when she saw me. I lay down next to her and took her hand, and it was the most comfortable thing I had ever done. We stared into each other's eyes just like the old days. When she stroked my hand, I knew my sister was right. Of course she knows me. She's always known me. I'm her child, her firstborn, And while she wasn't always great about saying the things I needed to hear, it was all here now, loud and clear. You are perfect. You are loved. You are enough. Sometimes I think it's easier to listen to your mother when she can no longer speak. In those last few silent days with my mom, I heard everything I ever needed to hear, and I hope she was able to hear everything I wanted her to know. You are perfect. You are loved. You are enough. The peace I felt during that time with my family was something I never imagined I would feel. Not before Alzheimer's, not during Alzheimer's, not ever. It was some of the best time we'd spent as a family. And now that it's over, it's hard for me to be anything but grateful. Thanks, Mom, for all of it, and for helping me choose what story to share.